Hello and welcome to a little walkthrough on creating a password protected area for your Mac. So we're going to make a spot where we can put files that we need an extra password to access. So let's make sure we're in the Finder. In the top left it says Finder. If not, just select this little smiley face and that will bring us into the Finder. Then we're going to go on to Go and we're going to go Utilities. And then we're going to open up this program called Disk Utility. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a disk image. And we've all seen these before. They're called .dmg files. You may not have known what they meant, but they're a type of structure that sets aside certain area to work with. And so it's kind of an image of a disk, hence the name, I guess. So what we want to do is go up on the File, New, Blank Disk Image. So let's go right down the list and figure out what some of these do. We're not really going to change hardly anything, but let's see what they do. So we have a name to give it, and this is what's going to show up as the name of the .dmg files. So I'm just going to call this Important Files. That would not raise any flags at all if I call it that. Then we're going to save it just for right now on the desktop. Now here's the name again. This name is slightly different in the sense that once we mount this disk image and watch the next little walkthrough on working with the disk image, it gives it a name also. So you have two different things. And just so we can see the difference between the two, I'm just going to call this one Important. That's all. Now the size, this is pretty critical in the sense that you are setting aside this much space to add things to it. It's a stagnant size. It doesn't matter if you have one tiny document or you fill it up. This is the size that it takes. Now you can resize it later. I usually don't suggest it because once you start working with file structures, you're playing a little bit with fire. I only see problems, so I'm kind of always a little nervous about this stuff. So I tell people if you need a bigger one in the future, make another image and just bring the stuff into it and throw this one away. So make it big enough, but don't go crazy in how big it is. I'm going to keep it at the default 100 meg. They give you some little templates, like if you wanted to burn stuff to DVDs and CDs, they tell you how big those things are. Also 500 meg, or you can go custom. And you can make this 50 gigabytes. And you could actually save the disk image on your external hard drive, and you would need the password to access those files. So if you lost your hard drive, it'll be no big deal. So that's one thing we're going to talk about after in working with it. But I'm just going to leave it at 100 because it takes a while to create it, because it actually writes a file that big. And if I did it, 50 gigabyte, it'll probably take 20 minutes or so to do. I'm going to keep it Mac OS extended. It's absolutely fine. Encryption, this is where the password comes into play. I'm just going to give it basic encryption. They do give you higher end encryption, but it's a little bit slower. Certainly can use it. I'm going to keep it under the single partition GUID partition map. It's a nice safe one to do. And I'm going to give it the read and write disk image. That way we can do stuff with it. We don't want to use any of the other ones. And once we're done, it's going to be on the desktop. And let's create it. And once it's done, you'll see it actually is going to mount it automatically too. So it's saying, what do you want for a password? I'm just going to put a really tiny one so I don't have to worry about it. It's telling me it's weak, but really don't care. I am going to uncheck this remember password. If the computer remembers the password automatically, it defeats the purpose a little bit. Now if it was on an external drive and you're only worried about losing it, then you might want to keep it. So I'm going to click OK and it'll make it. It'll only take a few seconds to do this because it's a tiny file size. And you can see it mounted it automatically when I created it. So here's the important files.dmg file. And then there's the important files. So it made that mounting process automatically. I'm going to stop this little walkthrough here. We've created the secure area. And watch the next little tutorial for working with it. Thank you very much.